Hello, I'm Sean LeConte from CPU. I'm teaching Mathematics of Data Management, or Probability and Statistics. This is a problem from the students' homework where they have a sample from a normally distributed variable, and we want to calculate probabilities based on the sample. So they would have to enter this into their calculator or the iPad. So one thing I might ask them is, well, is that sample actually normally distributed? Somewhat. We should check that. I wonder what a histogram looks like, or a box plot. So I would have them enter that into the particular app that I like to use for my course. The app that we'll be using is Statistics Visualizer, right here. This is a free app, but it does have a pay extension for extra features. So what I have them do is I would have them enter all their data into the app. So all 30 values. They would have to do the same in their calculator as well if they were using a calculator instead, but iPad is better. And what we can do various things with this sample. So I've selected the variable here, and then I'll press go. It asks me, what do I want to do with this sample? So I might ask students, if the sample is normally distributed, it should have sort of a bell curve shape. It won't be perfect because it's just a sample of 30 values, but it should look somewhat like a bell curve. So we have a look at the histogram. And it does seem like sort of a bell curve shape. And what we can do, we can play along with, change the interval widths and see how that affects the graph. It's just a point from earlier in the semester that the choice of intervals can affect the appearance of a graph. So it does seem like it's normally distributed, just based on inspection. Or I might ask the students, what does a box plot look like for a normally distributed sample? So they can also click on Go, and they can choose a box plot here, called quintile in the program, but we can find the quartiles and put them into a box plot. So they would know how to interpret that graph. So I might ask them, is this what you would expect a box plot to look like if the variable is normally distributed? So that's just sort of the intro to the question. We haven't really answered the question itself yet. The questions on the paper are about calculating probabilities. So if we go back to the other part of the app, probability distributions part, most pre-U courses cover at least some of these. And recently in my class we've been talking about the binomial distribution and the normal distribution. So if we click on the normal distribution, we have probability graph, and so we can click on options down here and we can enter in the mean and standard deviation, and we can enter in well, the question goes here, what we're trying to calculate. This was 67.37 and this was 17. So the question on the paper says, what is the probability a typical shopper's purchase is more than $60? So this left bound is 60. Okay. So, when we press done, it will find the answer for us. So they need to know how to calculate that manually, but it's a way of looking at their answer. It shows a visual display for their answer. This is the area we're trying to calculate. So in comparison to a graphing calculator, which can do the same thing, but it's not in color, it's not a big screen, it's not as quick. So I think it's an upgrade on the graphing calculator, plus it's more useful for other courses as well. Another app that we'll be using in the course is it's called Data Analysis here. This is a free app, there's no additional cost to it. We've been looking for an app that does regression, non-linear and linear regression. So this is one that does it pretty well. So it looks like this, and click on these are some of the data sets that have been entered already, or some that I've put in there. So I have a a test set of values that I've entered, this one here. So you have to learn some of the format of how to enter in values, but it's really not too much to remember. It's just first the x and then space and then the y value. So I've entered in my set of values, and if I want to plot them in a scatter plot, down here, plots the values for us, and probably we want to know the equation of the line and how well does it fit or not. Or if we want to try different types of regression, we can do that. So if we press this button here, this shows us the different types of fits that we can do. So do we want to do a line of best fit, or maybe some kind of curve will fit better? Maybe a logarithm? So we can choose what kind of regression we want to do. And then down here we're told the slope and the y-intercept down here. And we'll also calculate r squared for us.